This is the craft hall just after it had been set up on the Friday morning. All the tables are in place, and we move on to get a view of the cafeteria. And then to the outside areas. The outside is quite extensive. An awful lot of the show is in those areas. The first part with model boats, cars, miniature railway, etc. And then over the river to the flying field. You shall see more of that later on. This is the children's playground, which was constructed this year. Very popular with mothers. A view of my colleagues trying to erect a banner to show the way to the craft hall. Peter Roberts is on the right. They have succeeded. Good for you, lads. Here we see the number 1 model hall, which is the actual sports hall itself. As you will hear, there's quite a few bangs. This is setting up the hall, and that there is a fella who lives next door to me, unfortunately, called Ray Phillips. That's right, Phillips, isn't he? A funny sort of bloke. He's got a lovely smile too. There you are. He's very, very nice. There is a considerable amount of work in setting up the halls, particularly the number 1 model hall. There are 2 model halls. There's another one upstairs, which is the concert hall. All the barriers have to be brought in and the trade stands erected. There's a view of Caroline and Gaynor in the office. Very helpful ladies. This is number 2 model hall, already set out and ready for the exhibitors to arrive. All this has to be done by 3 o'clock on the afternoon of the Friday, because that is when the exhibitors and traders are notified that they're going to be there. Well, there you are. It's one of those things we've all got to stop at some time or other.
Always got to see the workers.
Of course. Oh, that's right. That's it. This is what I got to put up with, you see. That's it. That's Sally Ann, my assistant in the craft hall. And here we are on the opening day, the 2nd of September, a Saturday. This is the boating pool outside, constructed with straw bales and a very, very large plastic sheet. The model boats are radio controlled, and the demonstration at the present moment is being put on by the Caerphilly Model Boat Club. The young man in the black jacket there is Simon, Sally Ann's son, who is an expert violinist and is hoping to go to the Academy of Music in the new year. He's very interested in model boats and came into the hobby through the Caerphilly Model Boat Club. Here we are out on the flying field on the afternoon of that day, and this is where the Woodwinds Club, who are some of the members you can see in front of you, are showing off their skills at the bombing run, which is called the Battle of Britain display. Hardly exactly Battle of Britain, but it's certainly very attractive, and it is very popular with the public. The aircraft are flying overhead, but of course is that they are so fast and so small that they can't really be picked up. You can just see them dashing across the screen. The actual bombs, of course, don't exist. The explosions are timed and set off by men who are lying in the undergrowth at just underneath the woods. The wires lead to the models there, and as the planes come overhead, at a crucial time, they press the button and whoop, up it goes. There it goes again. You can hear the sounds of it now.
And I think the bombs are going off before they get to the target, and it's not right. Meanwhile, back of the air crew. There's the German one, but it's the yellow one that does all the bomb dropping. Here we go, look. High in the sky. That was a British aircraft that dropped the bomb. It gets worse. It gets worse. Still the Here comes the landing. One of the aircraft will stay up for their victory roll. This is a man who had the thought of it years ago to present a show for you people. Never did he dream it was going to be like that with the thousands of people that come here today. All by courtesy of Ken Woodruff, DTR models. Ladies and gentlemen, a Spitfire that gives a massive roll on its own here. Look, here we are. Look what's coming out is a destroyed victim coming over here waving his white flag. It's an enemy pilot, look here. He's lost his leg. And he's waving the white flag of surrender. No. Look here he comes. Either bloody nose. No, sorry. They can hear you. Come on, Bridget. Come on, make it good. Make it big. Wow, come on. They're the boys. Are they good? We love it. And the groundsman loves it too. Boss, we're just sorting out the mower. Can you see the mower, children, over there? Look. The fly mow.
I often wonder who has the most fun, Flyers or Dave Bishop of DB Sound. His commentary is exceptional, considering that he starts first thing in the morning and goes on for the whole day ad-libbing and talking about the aircraft and the flyers that are there. Here are the stands for the flying field, selling all the kits and bits and pieces that are required as far as model aircraft are concerned. Here we are back at the pool for a few moments. You can see the back of Sally Ann and a few of the members from another club. They changed over in the interval. There's a destroyer whizzing across the lake. A little bit fast, possibly, but there you are. Everybody gets a bit of fun out of it. In the background, you can see the miniature railway working. At the moment, it's being operated by Whitchurch Model Engineering Society from Cardiff. It's a very nice day here, which we didn't really expect when it started off. It was beginning to rain first thing in the morning. And there's Terry Coulthard on the 7¼ inch battery powered, I believe, diesel locomotive, or imitation diesel locomotive if you like, running on 7¼ inch track. which is about 120 feet long, giving rides to the children and, of course, to adults. And here we are now in the hall itself on the Sunday morning. This is setup time. It's now 8:20 in the morning, and the first of the exhibitors and traders are arriving to set up their stalls. That's the stall of the British Woodcarving Association, and that is a piece of wood carving that they're actually working on. This is a part of the display by a furniture restorer that we brought down from Cirencester, Stephen Hill. Hobby House, that's the name of the shop that's come, selling all sorts of bits and pieces. Jewellery, artistry done on the spot. Part of the Welsh Woodcrafters Association from Swansea. They usually put on a good display. That is the stand of Tim Wade, who operates the pole lathe. He isn't here at the moment, of course, but you can see how the thing works. Cord comes down, goes round the piece of wood, and pressing on the pedal makes it work, go round and look. That is the dollhouse people. There are so many things in the craft hall, and it's impossible to single out anything in particular. That is the stall of Peter Jenkins, a master engraver, and his work is of the highest. There's Peter working on the initial stages of another piece of glass, drawing the design on as it happens, ready for engraving. That is the work of Lynn Lyshon, friend of Peter's, and you can see how realistic it is as we get closer into the display. That's Lynn, I think. He's been shrunk down to that. And there's another view of a further display. Virginia Marshall, with her husband. Virginia does decorative eggs. The stall of Mr. and Mrs. Davis from Blanford Major, who do driftwood art. As you can see, it's very clever. Got to have a good imagination for that. Stall number 19, I think it is. Can't remember the name now. That is the stall of Eva Morton Crossland, one of the earlier ladies who came in with the craft many years ago. That is the stand of Dorothy Clark from Tondy, who does what is called paper toll, which is the American term, I understand, more or less, for decoupage. As you can see, her work is of a very, very high standard. Very popular lady. Another stand with flower displays. Bouquet of Dreams, I think it's called. That's right. This is the Sugarcraft Guild, the Bridgend branch. As you can see, the display is quite sensational. Many people don't believe it is of sugar. Again, another shot of the stand, which is set up by the Bridgend, the new branch of the Woodcrafters and Woodturning. Another side of the Sugarcraft Guild. An artist, Charles Adams from Port Albert. Jack and Shirley Kearns, and somebody who believes he's a comedian behind. All the stands are of a very good quality. Here we are, later in the day, looking at the field in the morning. And these are the happy, smiling faces of the girls from the recreation centre. Good morning, ladies. Good morning. No wonder Roger Goss is so happy.
Yeah? No side pictures, please.
Fun?
No side pictures.
Oh, I see.
Stand up.
I see. I am now, though.
Because it's
Oh, no, hey, what's the
Then you and I doing your look, Marty doing the work, look back, a cup of tea, your friend.
Yes.
Sir.
Marty said it.
And here we are, looking at the very famous Owen Gibbon, doing his famous act as a Gibbon. And this is the model that he and his friends have constructed, Annis Bulvach, O gauge, 7 millimeters to the foot in other words, and it is extremely big and very, very popular. There's Mike Cook, beg your pardon, Mike Cook, of the York Model Railway exhibition, manager and organizer of that one. This is TT, 3 millimeters to the foot. This is Skipdale. An excellent layout. Don't see an awful lot of 3 millimeter layouts around these days, unfortunately. It used to be very, very popular, but it seems to have died away quite a bit, but there is a nucleus still there, and there is a 3 millimeter society. This is the stand of the John and Jerry. Modelling, architectural modelling of a very, very high standard.
I'm still working on that end one, the cream one.
How long does it take you to do it, Jerry?
I don't know, I've been working on this lot since about 1964, but I took 15 years off in the middle to build a layout.
Ah, I see.
When you've done enough there, I'll give you the stool around, you can get down to the street level.
The work is of an extremely high standard. The models you see there, one is of a cathedral, which is fictitious, and again the church is fictitious, but the base elements are taken from various buildings around their area. This is the rear of it, as it happens. One can see the detail that's involved in it. There's the cathedral again, the fictitious cathedral, as I said. But it is a remarkable piece of work. A bit more of the church. And again the cathedral. Here we have Ian Wilkie, who is one of the acknowledged experts, who we brought in to go and show what can be done with lathe work. He's working on a very small lathe called the Tyne Gem, and he turns out this is intended for miniature work. It's not a big lathe, and it is intended for doing miniature work with down to matchstick size virtually, and yeah, or even smaller, as you will see in a minute. He's making a candlestick, or an imitation candlestick rather, with an imitation candle, and eventually an imitation wick. The lathe revolves at very, very high speeds. It's a superb machine. You can see the speed at which it's revolving. Very, very delicate work. I'll bring the sound up a bit so you can hear his commentary.
I'll make the wick. There's the wick. I'll make it slightly concave.
He's now undertaking the actual turning of the candlestick, working towards the base. Very, very delicate. You have to be very, very careful on that. Oops, sorry about that. He's putting the colour onto the actual candlestick now.
The wick will be black, so I'll make the wick black.
Double white paint, double black paint for the wick.
And have a little blob on the end where the wax melts over the top.
And now he puts a blob on to represent the candle grease at the top of the candle.
Runs into the candle box, so we got that right.
Sorry about his hand being in the way, but there were so many people around it watching him that I couldn't move up any further. Finishing touches on it. That's the base appearing. Not quite ready for parting off, but not far away. He's going to burnish it now. In other words, you can put the finishing touches on it. Oh no, it's getting a little bit more off. There you are. Here's the burnishing starting. Cleaning up the whole thing. And then apply some wax polish and colour to it. You can just see it coming up with a nice patina on it. Very clever. putting the finishing touches, emphasizing the gloss and the patina of the actual polish and the wood, of course. And there is the finished article. A miniature candlestick, complete with candle and wick. Lovely. And here's the potter with a student who just loves to get her hands into that mucky stuff. Very popular with the public and the children, of course. She hasn't made that, but he has helped her. But she'll remember it. Here we are. Dolls houses. Lincoln Morgan Dolls House Group. As you can see, it's highly detailed work. A lot of connecting going on in this game now. A lot of the stuff has to be bought. It's too detailed, and it has to be cast in many cases out of metal. But there's quite a few people into it. This is the shop. I think it was called Winnie's, if I remember rightly. Old-fashioned Victorian type shop. The emphasis is on the older fashions because it presents. Sorry about this bit. Went up the creek somewhere. A view of a hand though. That's my wife, I think. This goes on for a little time, I'm afraid. Still, I had my L plates up that day. Part of the Welsh Woodcraft Association. There's the pole lathe working in the background. Tim Wade. Wonderful son number one and his family, together with wifey. And here we are, back on some of the more colourful exhibits. A lady who sells fudges and toffees, that sort of thing. Seems to do very well every year. Dough craft. Items made out of dough and all sorts of things. Here's Kevin the Clown, who entertains the children. Does it very, very well too. The Bridgend Club, wood carvers and wood turners. Only been in operation about 3 months, and invited to take a stand, and they've done it quite well, doing some demonstration and showing evidence of the work that they've been able to accomplish. Quite good, considering it's a very young organisation. The looking for premises at the moment because that here we are outside. Quite full, but not as full as we've had in previous years. The crowd seem to be enjoying the show. A few dark clouds on the horizon. Let's hope that doesn't come to rain. At the moment it's very bright. Screen plans. There's the organ. You can possibly hear the music from that in the background to this recording. Another view later in the day. You can see by now the crowds had really arrived. The car park and all the other car parks were virtually completely full.
Never can tell.
The Model Engineering Club of Bridgend, Stuart Bowman with his locomotive and one solitary passenger. And here I am having a ride behind Stuart and his steam locomotive. Ran very well, the whole thing. We share it, Bridgend, the Model Engineering Society and Whitchurch, and we share it. The Whitchurch take it on the Saturday afternoon. We do it on the Saturday morning, they do it on the Saturday afternoon, and we reverse the procedure for the Sunday. Here we are on the Meccano stand, with three of the enthusiasts there, waving their arms about, showing exactly what has to be done. The man in the middle is Mike Hooper, who is the secretary and virtually organiser of it all in South Wales. John Owen on the right hand side. I don't know who the other gentleman is, but they're all pretty expert at doing this sort of thing. The loco you can see in the background there is a model of King George V, the GWR locomotive, and Mike made that. It took him 6 years to build. Now we go up and up and up and up to a model which is eventually going to be the Chairplanes, but it isn't quite complete. Here we are looking at Lifton, the Bridgend Model Railway Club's 00 layout, with Percy Blakely's son operating it. He's on the fiddle yard at the moment with an assistant. Although young, he operates it very well. He's good, particularly when he's on his own. He finds something wrong, not running right, so he stops the operator, who is on this occasion Mike Bourne. We should see the train emerge at any moment now. Oh, that's never done. Rather like Eurotrain, coming like a bat out of hell. Slowed up a little bit. We come into the station. You can see the factory in the background. It was a model of the original Ambrosia rice pudding factory. It is Lifton is or was an actual station. It went under the Beeching Acts many years ago, and the station made a very good prototype for us to model. There's a certain amount of artist license being used on it, but generally speaking, the station buildings, most of the buildings that you see in the picture at the moment, apart from those right up against the background, are the correct ones, and the factory was as near as we could get it. There is a mill as well there, which we modelled as best we could, together with the other buildings, purely using photographs, because we had no plans of the buildings at all, only a plan of the actual layout. This is Dave Woolnough, who does mainly pictures of trains, but can also draw and paint aircraft. He's an amateur and does very well. Yes, I think he's got quite a good potential there. Here's the layout again. Here's another train coming through. You can see the mill at the background. The mill was fed by water, which came down off the hills of Devon and stormed through the mill and out into the river, which is at the very end of the layout. We hope to produce a proper film about the Lifton layout shortly. And this is another layout presented by Bridgend Model Railway Club, actually owned by myself, but today being operated by the members of the club, because I've got my hands full with one thing and another over the days of the show. That is a Lima locomotive shunting an LMS van, I think. Joe Lowe, the chairman of the club, trying his hand as a bit of a O gauge. Normally he's working in 2mm scale on N gauge. Just watch this working for a few minutes. The stock you see there is mainly owned by Des Simper, a friend of mine, who has been doing O gauge for a number of years. My own stock and locomotives aren't ready yet. The layout was purchased by me, didn't actually make it, but it was purchased in a very, very dilapidated condition, and the result of a number of months of work has resulted in this quite passable layout. Quite passable. Joe coupling up onto the wagon, which is then taken out of the station. Shunting back the wagon into another siding to allow the passenger train, which is an auto coach, to depart. There's the auto coach, which is held for the moment while we get our things sorted out. And here it comes again. The auto coach departing behind a 1400. Or in front of a 1400 as it happens. These coaches, of course, were called autos because it is possible to operate the locomotive by a driver standing in the front window of the coach, and by a series of linkages it controls the throttle, brakes, etc. on the locomotive. Dick Ferguson,
Yeah.
one of my older and very highly respected model engineer. Specializes in these models of the stationary engines, etc. That's Dick there. Came to the show, I think, in 1975 or 1976, and has been coming every year since. Display by the Whitchurch Model Engineering Society. Some very fine work. Excellent display. And there, of course, is John Hughes and Bob Dench. John Hughes playing the fool as usual. That is some of his work. And that proves that he's nobody's fool. That's the work of Roy Hemming from Penavey. The steam lorry that he made some years ago. And in the background you can see the locomotive of a colleague of his, and also the new traction engine that he's making. There's the stand of the Bridgend Model Engineering Society, together with our treasurer, revered Roy Davis. Here is the superb layout of Gordon and Maggie Gravett. Ditchling Green. Absolutely out of this world. The modelling standard is such that when the photographs are taken of it and put into magazines, you'll literally wonder whether you're looking at the real thing or not. It is superb. We'll have a close-up of some of the buildings now in a moment, and you might be able to judge for yourselves. It's quite a small layout, all in O gauge, 7mm to the foot, done to a very, very high standard, particularly on the architectural side of it. Just look at that. The models are adapted and improved. Very, very realistic. I wish we had time to show you the street scene. It's amazing. Shunting at the present time. Combines an O gauge 7mm standard gauge locomotives with a narrow gauge line as well, a little industrial line running alongside. This is the 009 layout, Monkswood Mill of John and Jane Jacobs. One of the nicest little 009s I've seen in many a long year. Very, very nice. Very entertaining. Always something on the go with it. See one train disappearing in there, and there's Jane in the background ready to receive it, and another one takes his place. This is the Yeovil Model Railway Group's layout called Gasworks, and it's purely an industrial one. Two trains coming in now. My God, this is clever stuff. Very few layouts with two. Oh, look at that too. Dry shunting as well.
Oh yeah.
Very unusual layout, but very entertaining for the enthusiasts. Saw it first about 4 years ago at Thornbury, when it was an unfinished state. Fancied it then. And like Gordon and Maggie Gravett, I've had to wait some years for it to appear. There's so much in demand. No passenger trains, of course, on this. Purely an industrial line, featuring a gasworks. This is the small 16.5 layout of Roger Brown. Quite small, quite entertaining, very well modelled. Here we are looking at the very large layout, and it's a Bulwark again. We may be able to see a bit more movement on it this time, not just Owen Gibbon. And some of the sidings with the wagons loaded with either pit props or in some cases coal. The train approaches on the high level, bringing coal from the colliery. It comes down to the exchange sidings where the locomotive of the colliery propels the wagon onto the running lines of the Great Western Railway, or as they would in those days, the Taffy Railway. You can see the names of the collieries on it: United and others, Corries. Loads of them in South Wales in those days, hundreds of them. Some of them were the rakes and rakes of privately owned wagons, other ones with just one odd wagon. This is a very unusual little layout. This is of a bus layout, operated by Tony Chadd from Western-super-Mare. It uses the Fowler Road system, and not very many of this sort of thing around, but this is very well done. It's it proved to be very entertaining to the public. Quite a change from the trains. Trolley buses and buses running back and forth constantly, whilst above there is a short branch of a railway. This is the N-gauge layout of Normanton and Pontefract Model Railway Society, based on German practice. It's in N-gauge, as I said, and it is very well modelled, very high standard. Electric type locomotive in the background there, pulling a short train along the high level line. And there, I'm afraid, we have to leave the hall. Time has caught up with us. We just haven't got any more time to take pictures of what is actually happening, but you have had a little insight as to what goes on at the 1995 Model and Craft Spectacular. These final pictures show the breakdown of the craft hall just at the very end. The dismantling is taking place now. Thank you very much. There we are, the Welsh Model and Craft Spectacular, produced by Kenwood Productions. We hope you have enjoyed it.